Hey, what is up everyone? It's Rich. Alright, welcome to a video. This is actually going to be really fun. I'm going to explain to you why I actually selected this book and some of my thought process lately on consuming art and looking at art. I'm always trying to find different stuff, and I've been on kind of this more cartoony, what would you call it, like very like classic comic book style that seems to derive from the original kind of Silver Age artists, if that would be a decent enough explanation. Like people that kind of came from Kirby, came from John Buscema, came from John Romita Sr. and all that stuff. And Jim Starlin is an interesting artist because he seems to capture all the essence of classic comic book art. And it's a real creative look, and it's very direct. And so yeah, I've been trying to find stuff that's Kirby-esque, but not necessarily Kirby, and seeing how people incorporate Kirby in his stuff. But he's clearly got other things going on. Starlin's work is very varied. So I started to look at a few pages yesterday, and I kind of just went like, why not just do a video? So I've only seen about 5 pages from this collection, and I loved it. And it was interesting is these scans are kind of how I described the real clean when like Marvel will reproduce stuff, or DC, or any company that takes old stuff that was originally on newsprint and cleans it up. That I generally don't care for the look of it. I have to say with Starlin's work, because of the cartoony quality of it, I actually kind of do like it. And I saw some copies of it was a couple of the pages I had seen on newsprint, and I kind of went, you know what? For whatever reason, the colors and everything, it's really, really fun to see it in these hyper sort of I don't know, like they almost look like cell animation or something kind of thing. But his work is really fun, and if you haven't seen it, like I kind of consider myself someone who really hasn't seen it to any great extent. This is going to be a really, really fun video because it's very creative, and it's just fun, exciting comic book art in a very kind of classic 70s kind of way. It really, to me, captures the spirit of what Marvel Comics, in my opinion, was the best at. So all right, let's get into it. I don't have too much to say. Please do go check out the Blaster Kid pre-launch page on Indiegogo. I'm going to update it probably this evening and put color images up. But anyone who signs up early for the pre-launch is going to get a bonus with their comic when they get it. And most the auctions that I've, or not auctions, the crowdfunded campaigns that I've seen, a lot of times it's like an exclusive trading card, and I do like that idea. And I thought it would actually be really fun to maybe try to do a chromium trading card. I can't guarantee that because I don't know how much it costs, but that sounded really fun to me. And I think that based on the 3 promo images that Kelsey colored, any of those 3, and we're gonna do a few more teaser images for the book over the next few weeks, so look forward to those. But one of those pieces I think would make a really, really kick-ass chromium trading card. I think with the beautiful colors that Kelsey does, and there's that kind of it's just very like exciting looking. I think it would look great on a chromium card. So all right, let's get into Jim Starlin. This is going to be a lot of fun, and settle in. Hopefully everyone's doing good today. This is exciting. I'm actually really looking forward to this. I love this cover is great, and this pose is so Arthur Adams to me. This just looks like something right out of like an Arthur Adams drawing. It's the very straight on shot. He's practically standing on a flat plane. This is a difficult drawing to pull off. In fact, I've always found these kind of things, especially planning the legs, quite complicated. I mean, I guess you could kind of mirror image it. Well, you especially could now. I mean, you could just split this guy down the middle and almost do that. But it does, you know what? It would be interesting. Let's just for the heck of it, let's see something. Let's try this and see if he did that. I mean, I know he didn't do it in Photoshop, to be clear. What I'm saying is, let's see if he might have in an old school way. See all the fun stuff we do on this channel. what do we call it? We're reverse engineering. So I'm going to go like this. I'm going to flip it. And then let me just change the opacity on this a little bit. Isn't this fun? You're like, wow, Rich, I've seen Jim Starlin a million times. I've never seen some idiot do this. Do you think it's going to match up? It looks a little different. We'll see. Let's see how much it matches up. No, it doesn't seem to. Oh, well, let me do this. I'm going to rotate it a little bit. Let's see if I can. If I can get the fingers to match up. No, it doesn't seem to. Let me see. Try to get the arm to sync up. No, it doesn't really. Okay. Oh, I can just shut this one. All right, let's close it. No, do not save the changes that I made. All right, full screen mode. So this is the cover. This looks like it was maybe recolored. I actually don't care for the colors. No offense to if the person that colored it sees this video. I don't mean it like that. I'm just saying I prefer the sort of old school colors a bit more. Ye old school. This is nice. This is from, I think, the 3rd or 4th issue. I like the goblet. It's got like faces in it. But you see what I'm saying? How with these super slick scans, it's okay. So this is a layout and story, Steve Leo. It's okay though, because we're not looking at this issue. We're just looking at the interesting. Marv Wolfman was the editor. I didn't know that Marv Wolfman edited. I always thought that he was on the talent end of things. Not that editing isn't a talent. Yes, it's cool. Okay, so let's go. Look at that. Who's that? Is this Starlin? Oh, this doesn't look like Starlin to me. Okay, anyway. Yeah, this is interesting. And it kind of looks a little like McFarlane, early McFarlane, too. It's funny. It's funny. We'll move through some of these pages fast. I have quite a few open, so we'll... Oh, yeah, and Thanos. I've got a big thing of Thanos stuff, but I couldn't find him most of the stuff I saw was him only writing it. So, but I do like this kind of art. I think it's fun. It's just classic comics, like these legs and stuff like that. It's so interesting. And if you have recommendations for something that you think might be better, Jim Starlin, let me know. Because since I'm just kind of learning about his stuff, I may have picked something that wasn't considered a high watermark. I don't know. I don't know. It's okay to say that you don't know, you know. I can't, as much as I know about comic book art and am a massive fan of it, it's just impossible to be knowledgeable on all this stuff. Although some people are pretty impressive, I will say that. I think I know comics pretty good. I'm like on a scale from 1 to 10, I'm like a 5.5. I have huge holes in my game. That's the only reason that I would give myself such a low score. And I'm a bad reader of comics. That's the thing. Meaning I don't read them. Don't read them to the extent of someone that would be real knowledgeable of stories. This is interesting to see. I'd be curious, because I've been getting some interesting comments in the comments section. If you're a comic book artist right now, what do you work on for your comic art? Are you a penciler? Are you a penciler that inks your own work? Are you an inker? Or are you a penciler, colorist? You get where I'm going with this. Let me know what you're working on. I would be really curious to know, because I've got different students that are trying to break into comics, and I think one of the challenges as an aspiring comic artist is knowing where you're going to fit in this crazy world. I've met people that love to draw. Well, I mean, Lanil Yu is like that. I remember Lanil Yu one time, they asked him a question like, you know, are you interested in writing, or like what books, would you like to work on and stuff like that. He didn't seem to have a real clear cut answer. I'm sure he's got favorites, and he announced recently that he was going to retire from doing interiors for at least a bit. But some people just enjoy drawing and have no interest in inking their own work, or even coloring it, or writing it, or creating original stories. Some people, like me, are greedy. It was funny, as the first person, well, not the first person, but I remember very distinctly talking to Kari Andrews one day, and he was like, I want to pencil my own stuff, I want to ink it, I want to write it, I want to color it. He goes, I'm like Han Solo. He's like, I want the ship, the prize, and the girl, or something. It always stayed with me. I thought that was really, really funny. But he did go on to really kind of do that too, to some extent. I think he does write his own stuff. But yeah, I mean, so everybody's got a different slant. But the people that I worry about the most are inkers now, because I think inking has been sort of scooted around, and as its level of importance. And you'll get comics where pencilers ink themselves, and it passes. It's inked work. And sometimes, they just do it because they just want to keep all the original art, or they're kind of a control freak. But it's not to the benefit of the art. And then some pencilers are actually very, very good inkers, and you really almost couldn't picture their work without their own inks. And sometimes they really finish stuff in the inks, meaning that they never do full pencils to begin with. So, yeah. But yeah, it's a little perplexing to give advice to people, and I felt this way for years. This isn't like some new thing, but I, for a long time, I've found it more and more difficult to encourage people to only go into inking. And this goes back, I would even say 7 or 8 years ago. Before I was on YouTube, I was hesitant, and in fact, I would generally tell people, if you're literally just starting out inking, I always have recommended that you just get into penciling. If you literally can't ink right now and you want to get into comic books, just start working on your drawings. Honestly, it's gonna be hard. There's so few jobs for inkers as it is, and this isn't a beat down ink thing, but it was on my mind because I did a lesson for someone yesterday, and they basically just want to ink. And they're real good. They should get work, but it's going to be challenging, because it's like, where do you find a penciler that needs inks? So if anyone out there is a penciler who needs an inker, I actually know someone who's very good, and could do actually at least some really, really nice sample inks for you, if you might be interested in that. So let me know. Also, I'm trying to figure out a way to promote crowdfunded books for people. So I thought what I would do is, maybe in the Blaster Kid video fanzine that I'll start to put together, I could do a little bit of that. Maybe like spotlight 1 or 2 crowdfunded campaigns in each episode, to sort of play it forward a little bit and support people that are doing crowdfunded books. And I can't stress this enough. I don't play sides in all the stuff that's going on right now. Every move you make is like, it can be perceived as that you're oh, he's this, he's that. I see it. It's a Kickstarter book. We know what that means. I don't care if you do your own comic books and you send, and we'll set it up, or you send me the links. I'll just go kind of in order, and I'm trying to just encourage people to create things, write things. This is a very, very cool page. So it's interesting, the inks on this stuff. I mean, and this is, he as far as I had seen, does generally, I think, ink himself. He does pretty nice inks, but they are a little loose. This is great, man. Really, really cool. I love the way that these pages look with this super vibrant color. It's so rare that I actually prefer this. This is the one time. This is gorgeous colors too. In fact, I actually love the choices in this panel. This unusual red, this kind of weird, it's like a bluish green. Let's see something really quick. I'm curious what it is. I'm using like a pencil tool right now. All right, let me see what this is. Is it green or blue? It's pretty heavy into the green. It's starting to creep into the blue range. It's nice color. It's got a little bit of a Kevin Nolan feel to me. All right, so let's go back into full screen. Kevin likes this color a lot. You know what? Kevin Nolan is due for another video on my channel, in fact. And I've been seeing people's recommendations. So I like when you write a recommendation, I try to like all the comments. I mean, it's hard for me to go back and like older comments, but yeah, if you've recommended someone on one of my comment sections, I've seen it. So trust me, I keep a mental list of everyone. Sometimes it's just the logistics of getting the art together for it. If I don't have books readily at hand, then I have to go to like Yandex or Google and start searching around for large enough files to show. And that can get tricky. Like I was trying to put together a Michael Golden video, I did yesterday, but I was on Yandex just looking for any kind of scans that I could find that were big. So yeah, this is interesting. I like the look. I like the look. It looks very spontaneous, you know. I like that. I love the colors, man. I really do. It's weird. I'm so picky when it comes to colors, but this works fine for me. I mean, look at this right here. It's so funny. It's just like a light orange and then a more sort of vibrant saturated orange, and that's all it was. There's like a little like yellow, big clumps of red on this. I mean, it wouldn't work for a Blaster Kid, but it works for this stuff good. I mean, like the costume is just all one color. It's so funny. I call it ye old school. So, okay, so Steve Lealoa, yeah, Lealoa, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've never had to say it out loud. He does nice finished art on this stuff, so I take it back. It's not Starlin's finishes. And Lealoa is actually a really good artist just in general, so that's, you know, he's adding his own grit to this stuff. It would be interesting to see Starlin's pencils and inks. I'd be curious of what it looks like. That's interesting. I didn't realize. I wonder if he did the first issue. This guy's hair is awesome. This guy could do a good Elric. I don't know if he ever did. That's awesome. There's a shot in this book towards it'll be the front of these scans where this guy's like super green and he looks like he's made of broccoli. It's really funny. You'll see it when I get to it. He's kind of got like a Skeletor belt. Wow. Thanos. It's just funny. I like Thanos is so like small here. That's really, really great face though. Man, that is so cool. Man, that's really, really neat. But yeah, his body, he looks big, but he doesn't look as huge as he's kind of become. That's nice. Oh wow, that's funny. These little sci-fi tanks. Yeah, those are cool. Gamora. It's always like the name of the crazy place, Gamora. That was in Cybernary was Gamora. Man, that's cool. There's a lot of panels on this page. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nine's a decent amount. It's a pretty dense page. There's a lot going on. It's always interesting too how much information you can share in a small panel like this. This isn't a real big panel, but it's got a lot of depth. And this too. Would take a long time to fill in the blacks. Whenever I see checkerboards and stuff like this is real time consuming stuff. Yeah, this would be a pain in the butt to fill in the blacks. This would be one you'd be like, I bet it would take 2 or 3 hours. It's a lot of time to fill in blacks. But now, what do? Just go into Clip Studio and drop that shit in, yo. Then your original will look funky. At some point, you're going to have to bite the bullet if you have a traditional page and fill in those blacks. It's like, no, I don't want to do it. It's like, you have to if you're going to sell it. What else are you going to do? Well, people do actually sell prints now of original art. Yeah, that would be time consuming. Goodness gracious. Yes, indeed. So, for Patreon today, for anyone that's stuck out this video this long, I'm actually going to go over a technique of drawing. I think it's heads. I don't know if it's a full figure thing, called the Riley technique. I had seen it online and didn't know that it had a name. So we're going to explore that today and see what it's all about. I have a bunch of people that are on my Patreon that take online lessons from Jeff Watt's atelier, and he teaches the Riley method. I didn't know what it was. I was just showing a piece of art, and someone mentioned Riley, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And it's like, Riley, who's that? It was like one of the drawings of someone named Riley. I have no idea what that means. And then as more people commented, I put the puzzle pieces together and realized that Riley was a technique of flow lines throughout the head that make your construction of a head a little more consistent, effective, and I assume help you maybe move it around in space. But it's all the same shit. It's just proportions, placement of the features, and then, yeah, knowing foreshortening with those lines. You know, as you turn ahead, things are going to get closer together or spread out further. Things will drop or rise. It's just the way it is. The whole figure is like that. Perspective. Oh, this is cool. I love stuff like this. I want to do a Blaster Kid source book at some point. I think that would be really, really fun. Or like an armory. Both of those ideas I want to do. I think that would be really badass. This guy's funny. It looks like one of those toys that you would like be able to squeeze and then throw, and maybe it would like stick to the wall. This is a really exciting pose. I noticed looking at this guy's stuff that like he can do exciting poses, but you can tell that there's a tiny bit of like he's not 100% sure how to do it sometimes. Like I always get the feeling that he learned it from another artist, and they're not always as spontaneously out of his head. Doesn't mean that he swiped the pose. What I mean is just that it's like, you know what I mean? Like this sort of like leg placement and stuff like that is probably based on a drawing that he learned. Kind of like if you were learning to play guitar and you learned it from learning pieces of songs. But when you get good enough at being able to create figures using that technique, then you can start to come up with other poses. This is all real nice. But yeah, I was looking at something of his, and it could have been earlier work of him too, like earlier in his career. But it just felt like every time he would do a super dynamic pose, it was something that I had already seen other people do before. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that's part of comics. There's only so many ways that you can draw a person in a panel, like running, you know. Oh, you know what it was? It was the early pages in this book. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's one where he's got a leg foreshortened kind of like this, and you could tell he didn't really know how to draw through on it, or just the way that it was done. This is nice, very dynamic. But you could take a pose like this and make it a lot more dynamic just by, watch this. Her legs will look weird because of the fact that I would also probably change that, but just turning her hips more, you know, creating more of a torque on it, meaning that like from here to here is more back. But again, the legs are going to make it look weird. But let me escape for a second. If you can. Jim Lee told me this. It's like you want to get these pieces further away. Do you see how that's a pretty straight line? But if you can, I know, Kitty, but if you can bring it more over here and pull all this. Sorry, I've got a very clunky tool, but you know what I mean? You can really make a more dynamic pose just by having a bit more of that. Sorry, it's a very light color. You know, taking this and having it bend more will give you a more dynamic pose, and then also juxtaposing the hips, you know, having a little bit more of that and then more of that, and you'll get a little bit more time. It's tricky though. It's just something you have to play with. I constantly am trying to work on that right now to just get better dynamic figures, because my figures end up looking like this, so I can see it in his work. It's like, you're like, come on, this one's gonna be dynamic, and then you finish it and you're like, shit. It'll get there. It's like once you crack it and you do it once, all of a sudden you can be like, I did it, I know what it is. This is what I've been doing wrong. And that's why studying other people's figures, if you see someone that does a real dynamic pose, just look at the torso and the hips and see where they're placed and how if they're over each other, or one's over and one's under. Stuff like that will really, really help solve those mysteries. This is really nice. That's a hard one to draw. This too is good. This back leg is nice. It's funny, he puts Thanos in this pose a lot, but you see Thanos looks like he's like 5'8". It's funny, he doesn't really look like a huge character. Maybe he is that size, and I just didn't ever know it. I'm used to seeing the contemporary. This is nice. This is really cool. I love shots like this where it's like you've got, on this side of the panel, everyone's at this perspective, but on this side of the panel, everyone's at this perspective. I always equated to like Wills for some reason. And again, I'm using a mouse to draw this, but yeah, or Wilson J. Lee, but it, you know what I mean? It's like a 1-point perspective where everything on this side is coming down this way, but then everything on this side is more like that. That's really, really cool. A lot of the 80s comics would have shots like this. This is a great page. I like this a lot, actually. He nailed it. No, don't save the things. Look at that cover. That is cool. Man, that is great. So this is Alan Weiss inks on this. I like the inks. I think it looks good. It's rough. I mean, look at these lines. If I was doing a critique of someone's work now, I would probably tell them to watch this a little bit. Would depend. I'd have to see the whole piece in black and white to really gauge it, because I think rough styles can work, and you can get away with jagged lines and things that aren't as like aesthetically neat and clean. But the whole piece has to have the balance, which this looks to have it. Let's see if I can remove some of this gray. Try to remove the lighter gray. I think that guy's gonna vanish if I do it, as he's knocked back. Well, here, let's try it once. Just to see. I know it'll remove those side figures, but we can at least look at the... I kind of want them out, actually, now that I think of it. So we can just see the line on this. Yeah. But this is a nice, like, to me, this is a nice inking style that works throughout the whole. It's very consistent. And even though it's rough, he's got a very good eye for detail. Alan Weiss is a real good inker, but that's nice. It's a nice stack of figures, too. I was actually working on a piece not similar to this, but a similar idea with lots of characters in a tight space. And orchestrating it is interesting. You just got to keep trying stuff. And it's really cool. They're really weird-looking characters. There's Thanos. He's got fancy boots. Yes, this is really interesting. How big is Thanos supposed to be? Is he just like six foot tall? I picture Thanos like this. At least 8 feet tall. Alright, Thanos, come on. I would want Thanos like this. Something like that. And that actually looks really nice. Those two characters together, that looks pretty good. He's a little tiny bit too big. I would maybe make him a little bit smaller. but that's heading in the right direction. He's massive, I think, but again, it's just, I didn't create the character, so I should probably just shut up. Again, love the colors. I love the colors on this. This is nice too. This transition from this to this is actually very, very cool. Hey, this was fun to look at. It's different. Really different. I've been having a blast looking at like 70s and 80s Marvel. I think it's just really fun looking comic book art. There's something really cool about it. If you have any recommendations for 70s or 80s Marvel that you think is a hot spot, let me know. Would love to check it out. That's a funny design. It's interesting too that his hair here caught my attention, but his hairstyle is interesting to see. Haven't been paying attention to how he draws the hair all the time, but he seems to do pretty good hair. This is nice. Really, really good drawing right here. And actually the pose is great too. He's very short, foreshortened. That's great too. This is really good stuff. Really good. He's dancing. Look at that leg. I would never draw a leg like that. And it works. But that is wild. It's so rubbery. Man, that's crazy. I would totally have it. I would have done this more. And then probably put the foot here. But then it's a stiff pose, you know? It's everything. When you start straightening things out in a pose, it immediately starts to get more kind of like how I showed the example of the girl, where it was like she was just a little bit too straight up and down, you know, this right here. And it's still, this is his got a very dynamic pose, but just turning the hips this much more, you know, bringing it back, it really feels like all of a sudden he's, you know, and again, it's not going to be a flawless version of it, but it's like you really, really want to bend things, you see? And again, it's not like it looks flawless the way that the fix isn't going to completely fix it, because you need all the limbs have to sort of fall in line with the flow of the new pose. This is a cool page. I'm not generally a fan of panel layouts like this. I think it can get really boring really fast, but this is great, and he's only used it like this one time, and I love it. I love it in this circumstance. I think it's really, really cool. This is a great page. Yeah, that's really, really neat. But yeah, if I flip through a comic and it's got a little too much of this, I start to go... It feels I think what it is too is it's me projecting as an artist that feels that it would be a very restrictive way to tell a story. It's like, come on, man, let me do something a little different. Again, the colors are so thin. This is a great panel. It's so cool. Oh man, look at that. That's really cool. Oh man, these comics were so creative, so wild. Yeah, when he's green, he looks like broccoli. He's like Broccoli Man. It's interesting. It's very Steve Leilola. He's like, off this way, ships. There's a funny piece coming up too that I'll show you guys. This is cool. I could see like it's this is reminding me a little bit of like Michael Golden. Man, that is some wild colors. Oh, look at this. Oh, there's some zipatone on one of the pages coming up that's actually pretty neat. This is great right here. Man, I love that. Yeah, this is really cool. Wow. I think it's fun how this is outside the panel, too. It works good. It makes the page kind of exciting to look at. And the colors, again, are fantastic. It's just, you know, you feel like you're in this scene. There's a little bit of like an inset panel, and then we cut to this other scene. But when they switch here, you get this really dynamic kind of blue behind them. Breaks the panel border. There's no color behind that, and this and this. It moves my eye through the page quite nicely, I have to say. These sequences in this room are really cool. Yeah, they're really, really cool. That's nice. This is an interesting layout for a page. Open panel, and then you get 3 tight. Open panel, you get the 3 tight. Open panel, you get 3 tight. I think it's great. I love it. And that's 12 panels, and it really, really looks good. Really looks good. I'm assuming this maybe came out post-Watchmen. Maybe. I could be wrong. It's been known to happen more than once. This is cool. That's a lot of Kirby Crackle. Let's see what they did. I'm always curious. So if you do Kirby Crackle traditionally, how are you laying it down for yourself? I've tried a Q-tip before. It kind of works. Sometimes I just draw them with a brush. Sometimes I'll go in with a template and put some of the bigger ones in with like a circle template, and then kind of just draw the other ones like either, I mean, it depends on how many I'm doing. But yeah, I've never really found a tried and true approach. You can maybe use like an eraser, like if you have 3 different size erasers that were flat, and dip them in ink and kind of press them down. I think it would be funky though. What was the technique that they used back in the Dizay? What was it? Man, this dude is... So fussing is Len Wein, blotting is Steve Leola, scribbling, and everything else Jim Starlin. So... I wonder if Starlin did the colors. If so, he did a real good job, man. Issue 9, holy shit. Let me see something really quick. I just want to get an idea of how many more pages I have left. Because, oh, okay, God. We're going to have to start to hustle, friends. Because I got a lot to do today. We'll go back into full screen mode. But we'll be a little more selective on the pages. I didn't realize I opened so many. Alright. This is cool. Ooh, that's nice. It's a funny design for a character. Interesting. Did this guy ever draw Doctor Strange? He seems like he'd be like a perfect fit for it. It's kind of cool. Elric and Doctor Strange are like 2 titles that I think he would be good on. Oh man, that's a really fun page. Yeah, these designs are hysterical. I like panels like this too. It's really cool. Man, there was a lot of text. He was wise. He left plenty of room for the verbiage. So it says this story is dedicated to Steve Ditko. Did Ditko pass away at this time? I don't know. Ooh, love that. Man, that's a cool cover. It's interesting that Alan Weiss does the covers with him and yet not the interiors. But maybe he did do some interiors. This looks a little like Layla. I'm just going to call him Steve. Steve L. Steve-L. Man, that's nuts. That's really cool, actually. Wow. Go a little fast here for a sec. Ooh. The Trial of Adam Warlock. Uh-oh. My neighbor's sawing or something. That's no good. Again, this would be a pain in the butt to film the blacks on. But fun, too. I actually do enjoy putting a lot of black on pages. It's always... it feels a little destructive in a fun way. And you know it's going to look really cool when it's done. Anyone own any Jim Starlin original art? I remember Scott Williams wanted a piece. I don't remember if he got it or not, but I'm nearly sure that there was a Starlin piece that he was gunning for. It was pretty expensive, if I remember correctly. This is great. Okay, so Alan Weiss did do some of the inks on this. And JL Mini Rats. I don't know who that is. Wow. That's some splattery stars right there. Looks like different inks, too. I don't know who this is. Okay, let's hustle. Let's hustle, friends. This is cool. Wow, that's nice. I like how he draws knees. He actually does his knees pretty good. This is nice, too. Really, really good. But that's great. This arm is awesome. I love this. Yeah, this guy gets super splattery with his stars. It's interesting. I was saying to Kelsey yesterday when I had done a sneaky peek of some of this stuff. It's the early, it'll be the last pages that we see. The stars, the way that they were inked in was so funny to me. I'll show you. We'll definitely end the video with those pages. We have so many to go through. I just kind of got to hustle. This is nice. I was actually looking at Frazetta Thunder last night, and that was really interesting. He did like the first issue of Thunder. It's really good. It's really, really good, actually. It's very early Frazetta, but was well worth. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm actually thinking about maybe reading it tonight just to kind of get into the spirit of the story. I didn't know if he had done a bunch of issues of it or not, but it looked like he only had done the one. Look at this bottom panel. This is a cool effect too. I actually like this. This is kind of the stars that I was talking about though, where it's like they do them in like little clumps, like clump, 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 clump. It's a funny way to do stars, but this is neat. I like the space with this like little bit of galaxy and then the rendering through it. I think is a nice like technique. It looks cool. This is nice too. Broccoli man, chopping broccoli. I think this might have been it. The stars are awesome. It's so funny. I never ever have inked stars like this, but it is funny. Kelsey said something I totally agree with him. Is like when you do stars, you try to put them down. If you're putting them down manually, like you're taking a brush and like dotting them in, or even like a Hunt 102, you can kind of sort of push it down and it'll put a little dot. You try to do random, but it's funny. Your hand will end up doing little like not patterns, but like kind of repeats the same sort of thing. And I've got some tricks to randomize my stars if I'm putting them in by hand. I do like a tweak, like a triangle in perspective in my mind, and I kind of scoot it around and rotate it in my head, and that way I just place them at the ends of the triangle that are spinning. And it seems to work, but it's not a perfect triangle. It's like a warped one. Like if you put like squeezed it in and then stretched it out, so they're hold on, I can show you what I mean. Brush color, my god. So like if this is a normal triangle, The triangle that I'll move in my mind for doing stars is more like this. So if I keep rotating this in my mind and I'm placing stars, you'll see I did a pattern right there. But you know what I mean? Like, you know, you just keep sort of moving it around. And then fill in little dots around it. It works good, and you will get a more randomized effect. But yeah, if you just sit and kind of do this with like your pen or whatever you're doing, and again, I know this isn't round, but you'll end up kind of doing things that are too symmetrical, and they're too like equally spaced. They'll be similar sizes. It's a weird thing. Death ship, I like it already. Sign me up. Put me on the death ship. Yo, 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 death ship. Yeah, these stars. Look at this. Isn't this funny? These stars cracked me up. Boop, 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 boop. It's clearly a style. I mean, it could have been randomized, but yeah, it was funny. I was like, whoa. It's a lot of stars, and a lot that are in little patches. I like this bloopy anatomy. Like, it's very round and bubbly. It's kind of fun. This is great. Very, very fun, like, cliffhanger page. This is great, him, too. Like, again, when he removes all the background and throws them out through the panel like that, I like it. Okay, this is the issue that I saw. This was really cool, though. This is the shot. Broccoli Man. It's like, how dare you come to the Broccoli Man universe. Eat your veggies, Warlock. He is Magus. 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 What was it yesterday? Gamut. Gambit. Oh. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I like this, though. It's like very psychedelic art. Look at this. This is a great page. But you could see how, like not seeing this and then kind of flipping through, like, some of these pages, I was like, damn, this stuff is cool looking. Anyone who made it this far is probably a fan. This is cool, too. It's got, like, a little bit of, like, a Tron vibe to me. Bum, 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 bum. This is kind of cool, too. Okay, we gotta hustle. That's a cool page. Man, that's a lot of detail. Borgia. Boom, look at that. You're Warlock. It's like, that's right. Look at my outfit. This is a nice page. Really cool layout. This is really, really good. He really kind of scoots you through with this, like, silhouette, and this all, like, seems to play together nicely. I was trying to figure out if this was supposed to be Hitler. Is this just a coincidence, or is that supposed to be, I guess, new men, the evil being known as Man-Beast. Yeah, I think that these are, like, bad guys throughout history. Who's that? Stalin? Hitler. Not really sure who that is. Really creative again. This is nice. I like his Thor. His Thor's cool. That's nice. That's a really good Thor. His fingers are kind of crazy right here. He's got a lot of, like, there's a lot of folds going on, but I see where he was going with it. He's got the bone in the finger. This was nice, too. This almost had a little bit of, like, a John Byrne vibe or something to me. Yeah, this was neat. I thought this was really cool. You see a little zipatone in the thing. I think the lines worked really well, too, though. I would almost say that, like looking at that and then looking at the one with the, like, line work, I think I preferred the lines better. I think that worked well. So, okay, I'm going to wrap this up. That was fun. It was really cool. It's such different style of art. I think it's really fun. The colors are fun. And it looks like a pretty groovy story. So, all right, have a great day. I love you all. Take it easy. And I will be back Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the next day with a video. I got so much to do. I need to just keep working. So, okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.